Develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow. Hi everyone, this is Nitin Saxena, your coach for verbal ability and soft skills. Again, back with the session on an interesting topic from the domain of verbal ability. So, today we'll be talking about a very important topic from the placement point of view and from the government examinations point of view, that is parajumbles. So, I'll be telling you certain concepts and we'll be also discussing about certain tips and tricks to solve the questions, because I have always realized that candidates find this area to be one of the toughest ones. So I'll give you certain techniques today so that the questions based on these topics become easier for you to solve during your placement drives and during your government examination tests. All right. Let us first of all have a look at the reasons for studying this topic. The first very important reason is important part or segment of most of the competitive examinations and placement tests of the companies. Parajumbles, or which we call as rearrangement of sentences, forms an integral part of almost all the competitive examinations plus the placement tests of different companies. Next reason is it is one of the scoring areas. Yes, trust me, this is one of the scoring areas. Even if you are not good at English, you do not you are not good at reading comprehension passages, even then you can actually score well in this topic, because the tips and tricks that I'm going to give you, those are actually going to help you to get the correct answer in a small span of time. Moving ahead, there are three basic types of parajumbles. So now what are these three basic types of parajumbles? Let us see them one by one. The first one is four sentence type. So four sentence type parajumble is a type where we have four sentences in total which are in the jumbled form, right? So in this four sentence type parajumble, all the four sentences are put up in the jumbled form. Next one is five sentence type. Now, in the five sentence type parajumble, as the name suggests, there are five sentences, and in this, either the first or the last sentence is fixed at its right place, and rest of the sentences are jumbled up. So you may have two kinds of questions here. The first one can be where you have the opening statement at its right place, or the second type can be where you can have the closing statement at its right place, and rest of the four sentences in the parajumble will be in the jumbled up form. And the third type, the last type, is six sentence type parajumble. Now the six sentence type parajumble, as the name suggests, again, it has six sentences in it. Now in this, the first sentence and the sixth sentence are given in the correct position. So that means the positions of the first, that is the opening statement, and the last, that is the concluding statement, is fixed, but rest of the statements are in the jumbled up form. So that is what is written here, that is the start and the end, uh, and the four sentences between these two are jumbled up. All right, moving ahead. Now, what should be our approach to solve the questions of parajumbles, or how should we approach and solve the questions based on parajumbles, or we call it as a rearrangement of sentences at some places. Now let us have a look at them. The first point says the approach is mechanical one. So When I say that the approach is mechanical one, so it means that we are using certain tools or certain mechanisms to solve the question or to solve a problem. So whenever we have a mechanical approach for any problem, so we actually use certain tools and techniques, we use certain mechanisms to solve that problem and get the correct answer. So here we'll be using certain tools and techniques which I was talking to you about to actually get the correct answer of the questions. The second point says, don't lose focus by reading the statements given over and over again. Yes, a very common mistake done by most of the candidates is that they read all the sentences over and over again, which creates wastage of time. And you don't have that much of time during your placement tests or your government tests. So trust me, you are supposed to save upon the time, and you can only save upon the time once you follow this mechanical approach. That means you use certain tools and techniques or mechanisms to understand and comprehend the questions and get to the correct answer. Next one. The next one says the greatest mistake is to try and read the parajumble in the sequence given in each option. Yes, again, this is also a very common mistake which is made by the aspirants. They, what do they do is they actually check the parajumble question with the options given under it. So if the question has 5 options, suppose, given under it, so they check all those 5 options one by one, and that is one of the biggest mistakes created by the aspirants, because that is a sheer wastage of time and that creates more of confusion instead of getting to the correct answer quickly, right? The last point here says the best ways to try and identify mandatory pair. Yes, this is the technique which we'll be talking about in today's session. So we need to actually identify and try out the concept of mandatory pair to solve the parajumble questions and get the correct answer in a quicker span of time. Moving to the next heading out here, the next heading says, of course, what is a mandatory pair? Now, this question must be popping up in everyone's mind. What is a mandatory pair? Now, mandatory, as the word suggests, it means compulsory. And pair means pair itself, something which can occur in a group of two, right? So mandatory pair means a compulsory pair. So if there are certain compulsory pairs in the parajumble questions, and we can identify them through certain techniques, certain tools, or by identifying certain keywords, right? And if we are able to identify these mandatory pairs, then definitely we can get the answer to our questions in a very short span of time. Now, let us have a look at it. What is a mandatory pair? It is a sequence that you know cannot exist in any other order. So that means the order is fixed. If B has to follow A, then that means B has to follow A. A cannot follow B in that case, right? So if I say that BA is a mandatory pair, so I cannot actually write it as AB. So BA and AB, they are different in sense. So something which has its sequence fixed or the order fixed, that is actually known as a mandatory pair in case of parajumbles. Now, the only one basic tool to identify mandatory pair is read mechanically and look for keywords. So if you read mechanically, if you read through certain tools, certain mechanisms, and you are able to locate the keywords in the questions, then definitely you will be able to get the mandatory pairs very quickly. And by identifying those mandatory pairs, you can actually eliminate upon the excessive options. That means if there are like 5 options in a question, it is not necessary to go through all the 5 options, right? So we have to follow the elimination technique. And how do we follow that elimination technique? If we are able to eliminate certain options by identifying these mandatory pairs, suppose that like we have 5 options in a question, and after identifying certain mandatory pairs, if we look at those options, we only find that there are 2 options out of 5 which have those mandatory pairs in them. Then definitely the rest of the 3 options which do not have those mandatory pairs in them can be eliminated or shall not be considered while deriving the answer for that question. Now, going ahead, uh, we have to see the types of mandatory pairs. Yes, dear aspirants, today we'll be talking about the 2 important types of mandatory pairs. This session will be divided into 2 parts. So we are not going to discuss all the mandatory pairs today. We'll be discussing 2 of the important types, and rest of the important types will be discussed in the next video. Now, the first important type of mandatory pair is full name, proper nouns, and pronouns. Now, you have to see that uh, according to the concept of mandatory pairs, if in a question we have a sentence with a full name, we have a sentence with a proper noun, and we have a sentence with a pronoun, then we have to follow this order. That means the sentence with the full name will come first, followed by sentence with the proper noun, and then followed by sentence with the pronoun. Now you must be actually thinking, what is the difference between full names and proper nouns? Why I have segregated these two? I understand that full name is also a proper noun, but just to make a differentiation out here, I have actually quoted full name separately and then proper noun separately. Now, here by full names, I mean, for example, my name is Nitin Saxena. So, Nitin Saxena will be considered as full name and proper noun. Proper noun can be either my first name or my last name. So, if you call Nitin, so Nitin is a proper noun because that is not a full name. Or if you call Mr. Saxena, so Mr. Saxena is also a proper noun, that is not a full name. So that is the differentiation between the two. So here in this concept, we have 2 important mandatory pairs. The first mandatory pair is full names followed by proper nouns, and then proper nouns followed by pronouns. So, for example, if in a question we do not have full names, but we have proper nouns and pronouns, then in that case, proper noun will come first, and then it will be followed by a pronoun. Or suppose that if proper noun is missing from that sequence, then full name will be followed by a pronoun. All right. To have more clarity on this, let us actually see one example. There is a question out here. Sentence number A. It says, Singh accused Jogi of corruption. Sentence number B. It says, both were very angry. And sentence number C says, Raman Singh ordered an inquiry against his predecessor Ajit Jogi. Now, if we apply this concept of mandatory pair in this question, we see that in sentence number A, we have 2 keywords, which is Singh and Jogi. Now, Singh is the last name and Jogi is the last name. That is a proper noun, that is not the full name. So, we have proper nouns in sentence number A. Now, if we look at sentence number B, so here it is written both were very angry. So here both is denoting the subject. That means both is a pronoun here because it is not a noun. It is something which is actually substituting a noun. So both is a pronoun which is an indefinite pronoun exactly and plural in nature. So that means it is representing these two people, right? So both is a pronoun, and we have found statement number B with the third element in it. Now, sentence number C. Sentence number C says Raman Singh ordered an inquiry against his predecessor Ajit Jogi. Even if we do not understand the meaning of this sentence, right? We have two keywords here. We have the first keyword Raman Singh, and the other keyword is Ajit Jogi. So Raman Singh and Ajit Jogi, they are the full names, right? So sentence number C has the first element. Now we can actually deduce the correct answer very quickly from here, even if we do not understand the complete question. So here, as it is written, Raman Singh and Ajit Jogi. So we have full name at the first place. So that means sentence number C should come at the first place. Then I said that full names to be followed by proper nouns. So after full name, we have the sentence with the proper noun, that is sentence number A, Singh and Jogi, right? So we have one mandatory pair CA, because C should be followed by A, right? So CA is one mandatory pair. Now we saw that the third mandatory pair, the second mandatory pair in this case would be proper noun followed by pronouns. The proper nouns followed by pronouns. Now we have pronoun in sentence number B and proper noun in sentence number A. So we have another mandatory pair AB. A should be followed by B, right? So we got two mandatory pairs, that is CA and AB. Now A is common between both, so we get the correct answer as CAB. That means this should be the first statement, that is Raman Singh ordered an inquiry against his predecessor Ajit Jogi, followed by sentence number A, Singh accused Jogi of corruption, and followed by sentence number B, that is both were very angry. Always understand that whenever we introduce a subject, then we always try to introduce that subject with his or her full name if we have that available. If in case we do not have the full name available, then only we go with the first name or the last name, right? So here we have introduced the subject with their full names. Then we have introduced introduced them further by their last names, and then further we have actually introduced a pronoun to talk about them. So this is, I hope, clear to all of you. All right. Moving to the next kind of mandatory pair. The next mandatory pair is cause and effect relationship. Yes, a very important phenomena, the cause and effect relationship. So you always have to remember that the cause always is followed by effect, right? The cause always is followed by effect. That means cause comes first and effect comes later on. But at times, we might have the structuring of sentences in such a way that the effect comes first, followed by the causes or the reasons for that effect. Now, let us actually have a look at certain keywords here which actually tell you about the cause and effect relationship. The first word is because. Now, because always states the reason behind something. That means whatever comes after because will be the cause and not the effect here. The next word says consequently. The consequently word here represents the effect. So consequently means as a result of something, right? So consequently and as a result of, both of them actually show effect and they are never followed by any cause. Going to the next one. The next one says as a result. Now, as a result, there is a difference between as a result of and as a result. Now, as a result of means what? I just told you that consequently and as a result of something they are same. But are they actually same? No. Consequently means as a result, not as a result of, right? So whenever we say as a result of something, so you don't have to get confused. As a result of means due to something, that means the reasons, right? So this will always be followed by the reasons, that means the cause and not the effect. So as I told you earlier that this should be followed by the effect, that is something to confuse you, and this is something which can be there in your examinations as well, and you don't have to get confused. Now as a result, right? So as a result means the effect, right? So as a result of means the cause, and as a result means the effect. Going to the next one. Next one says so that. I take an example out here. I say that he worked hard so that he could pass in the examination. Or I say that he worked hard so that he could score well in the examination. So scoring well in the examination is going to be the effect, and working hard, that is going to be the reason or the cause leading to scoring good marks. So that means the effect. So that is always followed by this element, that is effect in the sentence. Going to the next one. The next one says therefore. Now therefore it actually ends or it actually concludes a discussion or something. So in the conclusion we always talk about the effect based upon certain reasons which we have already discussed earlier. So whatever comes before therefore will be the cause, and whatever comes after therefore is going to be the effect. Now coming to the next word, that is while. So while always expresses the condition behind something. So condition is equal to the cause. So while is followed by the cause in the sentence. The next one says thus. Now thus is similar to therefore. Thus is also used to conclude something, and we always conclude something based upon certain reasons. So whatever comes before thus is going to be your reason, and whatever comes after thus is going to be your effect. That means something coming before this is going to be the cause, and something coming before after this is going to be your effect. Moving to the next word. The next word says given and hence. So let us discuss them one by one. Given. Given means provided these conditions, right? So given these conditions, so provided these conditions, and I told you that condition is always equal to cause. So given should always be followed by cause, and hence is actually used to show or conclude something. So this actually shows the effect. Going to the next word. The next set of words says when then. Now when then. So if I take an example, I say that when it rains, then the ground gets wet, right? When it rains, then the ground gets wet. So that means raining is going to be the cause for ground getting wet to be the effect, right? So when expresses the cause and then expresses the effect. So whatever comes between when and then is going to be your cause, and whatever comes after then is going to be your effect. Going to the next or the last one out here, it says if then. The similar approach here, if I take the same example, I say that if it rains, then the ground gets wet. So for the ground to get wet, rain is going to be the cause, right? So if and then, so something which comes between these two elements, these two words, if and then, is going to be the cause, and something which comes after then is going to be your effect. If it rains, then the ground gets wet. I hope I've already made all these terms very much clear to you. So these are the common like words or the keywords which we can call, which you generally or usually find in your like examinations. And if you are able to locate these keywords in your parajumble, then definitely you can actually easily find out the mandatory pairs based on cause and effect relationship. Now, to have more clarity on this, let us have a look at the example. Now, the example here says, sentence number A, while Sachin is a great batsman, Kambly's name is often associated with his scams. Sentence number B, it says, Sachin Tendulkar and Vinod Kambly are good friends. And sentence number C says, as a result, their relationship has become strained, right? So if we actually find out the keywords in these sentences, so here we have one keyword Sachin and another keyword Kamblis, right? So we will actually apply the first concept as well as the second concept in this question to actually get the correct answer. So Sachin and Kamli, they are proper nouns as they are the first names of people, so they are the proper nouns. We have another keyword that is while here, and while I told you expresses the conditions, that means the cause. So this sentence is actually expressing the condition. Now, sentence number B, it says Sachin Tendulkar and Vinod Kambli are good friends. So we have again two keywords here, Sachin Tendulkar and Vinod Kambli. So Sachin Tendulkar and Vinod Kambli both are the full names, right? And sentence number C, it says as a result, their relationship has become strained. Now again, here we have two keywords, or we can say like one key phrase and another keyword. We have one phrase here, as a result. So as a result, I already explained you, as a result means the effect. So that means this sentence has the effect. And we also have a pronoun there here, which is being used for the nouns which have already been discussed. So now let us try to identify the mandatory pairs out here. I told you according to the first concept that full names to be followed by proper nouns and proper nouns to be followed by pronouns. So according to that rule, we have B at the first position followed by A at the second position. So that means BA is going to be one of the mandatory pairs. And another mandatory pair that we get is proper nouns followed by a pronoun, right? So we have another mandatory pair as AC. So one is BA and another one is AC. So let us actually apply another concept which I told you about, the cause and effect relationship, and check with that concept as well. We have condition or the cause here because we have one keyword while, and we have another key phrase out here, as a result. That means this has an effect. So we get one mandatory pair from here, that is AC. Now AC, as we can see that applying both the concepts, we get AC as like one of the common mandatory pairs, right? So our correct sequence should be BAC. Let us have a look at the answer out here. The answer says BAC because we identified one mandatory pair as BA and other mandatory pair as AC. So we get our final answer as BAC. I hope these concepts have actually made solving parajumble questions little easier for you, and I hope that you will be able to reduce upon the time factor that you actually utilize while attempting such questions in your examinations, and this is actually going to help you out to score well as well, because you if you actually save upon some time from the lengthy approach, then you will be able to utilize that time on the other questions and on the other areas as well, and which will actually lead to your final selection or final qualifying of the written tests. All right. So that was all for today. Uh, Hope to see you all in the next session. And we'll be talking about certain more mandatory pairs in our next video, which is going to help you out to have some more clarity on the various other kinds of questions based on parajumbles. Till then, take care, keep enjoying, keep learning. Thank you.